On Rappler calls for an anti-Duterte alliance of presidential candidates. The Duterte camp says Roxas's invitation to a united front is the frantic call of a man on the verge of defeat. And vice presidential candidate Leni Robredo explains why she's done better than her running mate. Hello and welcome. I'm Cheche Lazaro. We come to you live from the Rappler News Center. This is your top of the hour update for the run-up to the 2016 Philippine elections. President Benigno Aquino calls on presidential candidates to unite against frontrunner Rodrigo Duterte. This confirms Senator Alan Peter Cayetano's statement that Malacanang initiated talks between Mar Roxas and Grace Poe. Communications Secretary Sonny Coloma earlier denied Cayetano's claim, calling it untrue and unfounded. Aquino says he's trying to bring candidates to a united front. He also says, and we quote, "The whole point is to get even two of them to unite. Then we have more than 40%. Duterte has 33% support, while Poe has 22% and Roxas has 20%, according to the May 1-3 survey of the social weather stations. It's the ultimate insult to the Filipino people. That's what the Duterte camp says of calls for presidential rivals Mar Roxas and Grace Poe to put up a united front. Duterte's campaign manager, Leoncio Evasco Jr. says, in his words, "It is a final act of betrayal and it reaffirms our conviction that the Aquino-Roxas clique will not give up power to preserve the interests of the oligarchy they represent." Evasco adds, on top of this all is President Benigno Aquino III, who is brokering the deal. Poe had immediately rejected Roxas's proposal, while Vice President Jejomar Binay dismissed Aquino's call. Evasco said about Roxas, "Only a man on the verge of defeat can issue such frantic calls." Leni Robredo enjoyed a phenomenal rise from survey bottom dweller to leader, but her running mate Mar Roxas did not enjoy the same meteoric rise. Robredo says Roxas's years in public service works to his disadvantage.
I think that my advantage over Secretary Mar is the fact that I'm fresh. I'm coming into this with a very clean slate. I do not have so many baggages yet. And Secretary Mar has been part of the administration for a long time. So whatever misgivings the people have on this administration is immediately immediately a burden to Secretary Mar. It's not the same with me, in the sense that because even if I'm a congressman coming from the same party, I was not really that identified with working with the administration. Yeah. And Secretary Mar has to bear all the burden of answering for whatever misgivings everyone has. Yeah. It's unfortunate for him, but
he's also seen as not as authentic.
I don't know about that. I think my advantage also is that my narrative is more dramatic than his. I've been through so many upheavals already. I've met the greatest tragedy of all, losing a husband. I've transformed from a very ordinary mother and wife into a public official after the death of my husband. It's a narrative that Secretary Mar doesn't have, and I think it's a disadvantage on his part, in the sense that people are actually attracted to these kinds of narrative. But also, even if it worked to my advantage, the burden really is proving to people that my capacity does not end with that narrative. I have to prove every day that I am capable. I have to prove every day that I am bringing something with me aside from my story. And I think that's also the reason why my numbers surged after the two debates, in the sense that after the two debates, people saw me already as my own person. Mm-hmm. I was able to hold my ground against my 5 male opponents, and it was very advantageous in the sense that people no longer looked at me as just the widow of Jesse, but already looked at me as
Supporters of Leni Robredo gathered at the Quezon City Memorial Circle Thursday evening. Farmers, fisherfolk, and indigenous people backed Robredo in hopes of sending her off to the second highest post of the land. Let's watch this video blog, or what we call in Rappler as a vlog, by Caterina Francisco.
2007, Leni Robredo met the Sumilao farmers in Naga City as they marched from Bukidnon to Manila in a bid to secure their land. Nearly 10 years later, the farmers are back in Manila in a show of support for the Camarines Sur representative as she guns for the vice presidency. Robredo faces a tight battle ahead. She's neck and neck with Senator Bongbong Marcos, who's banking on the strength of the Solid North vote. Throughout her campaign, Robredo's message has centered on uplifting the lives of the marginalized. And 3 days before Election Day, here at the Quezon City Memorial Circle, it's these same groups of farmers, fisherfolk, and indigenous people who are now backing Robredo's bid in hopes of sending her off to the second highest post of the land. Caterina Francisco, Rappler, Manila.
All is set in the polling precinct of presidential frontrunner Rudy Duterte in Matina Aplaya in Davao City. Officials say the school has put in place crowd control measures to deal with Duterte supporters and critics on Election Day. Duterte's media group chief, Peter Lavinia, says the mayor has been receiving death threats since he declared his candidacy. A SWAT team and 30 additional forces will be dispatched Sunday to secure the perimeter of the school until after Election Day. The Palawan Regional Trial Court grants bail to former Coron Mayor Mario Reyes, allowing him to campaign for the May 9 polls. Reyes is one of the suspects in the murder of journalist and environmentalist Jerry Ortega. His brother, former Palawan Governor Joel Reyes, is also accused in the case. Ortega exposed corruption in Palawan and accused the former governor of misusing the Malampaya Fund. The Reyes brothers are running for mayor and vice mayor of Coron, and both were arrested in Thailand on September 20 for overstaying. Marlon Racamata, the gunman who shot Ortega, was sentenced to life imprisonment in May of 2013. Here's a quick rundown of last night's 9 p.m. news. In an interview with Rappler, Senator Alan Cayetano says the latest negative ad against Rudy Duterte points to a bigger conspiracy. Senator Bongbong Marcos says the Liberal Party plans to impeach Rudy Duterte if he wins as president. A Hong Kong-based think tank says the Philippines' anti-corruption drive improved the most among 16 countries surveyed, and an internal survey among members of the Catholic charismatic group El Shaddai reportedly shows they prefer Vice President Jejomar Binay as the next president of the Philippines. To watch more, click on to the link on this video. And that's the top of the hour update. I'm Cheche Lazaro. Join us again at 1 p.m. Earlier today, Rappler talked to Leni Robredo about the election, her hopes and fears on the eve of a tight race. Here's the first part of that interview. Watch it here.
Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa. This is Rappler Talk, and with us today is a woman whose numbers when she decided to run for vice president was, let's say, sub-basement. She was at 1%, and has had
I was number 6 of 6.
Number 6 of 6, and she's had a phenomenal rise, and now is at a statistical tie for first, ready to win, statistical tie with Senator Bongbong Marcos. Joining us in the Rappler studio is Leni Robredo, Representative Leni Robredo. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you for having me again.
No, it was great to talk to you before the campaigns began, and then now that we're in the last 2 days.
Last 2 days.
Last 2 days.
Last day. Today is the last day we're allowed to campaign.
The meeting that Avan said today, right? So so I guess at the very beginning you talked about this line for yourself, finding this balance between waking up every day and living according to your conscience, right?
It's been a real challenge. I do realize that national elections is so different from local, in the sense that while local elections are more physically daunting because you have to go from one house to another, national elections is actually always trying to balance between traditional and what you actually believe in. it's more difficult to maintain that black or white thing.
Interesting.
And there are so many gray areas in these elections. It's not like local where you could afford not to depend on politicians. With local elections, you can do it on your own. Like what I did in 2013. Of my 8 mayors, I had only one supporting me. Of 186 barangays, I only had 25 barangay captains supporting me. But it was all doable in the sense that I had all the time in the world to be more personal in my dealings with constituents.
Right.
But that's not the case here, because the country is physically difficult to navigate. I would have wanted to physically have interactions with all our constituents for them to be able to know about me firsthand, but it's not at all possible. You have to depend on local politicians, and that's a difficult thing as far as I'm concerned, because I'm very new in politics. I don't know how to deal with all the nitty-gritty of politics. It's been beneficial that I belong to a political party in the sense that all the political stuff is being done for me. I couldn't have done it myself, because I always have the tendency to push for what I believe is the right thing. So right now, as I have said, the gray areas have become wider. And the difficult thing for me is how to stay the course.
Fantastic. Well, I'm gonna come back to this at the end, but I want to know what you think is behind your phenomenal rise.
I think people appreciate that they see me for who I am. It's been to my advantage that I haven't actually been so into politics after 3 years of being a congresswoman. I think people appreciate the fact that you're authentic, you're genuine, you're candid most of the time. That even if you belong to a particular party, you are still honest about the limitations of people around you. But I'm lucky, Maria, in the sense that even if sometimes I criticize, even if sometimes I call the attention of people who I'm supposed to protect, my attention hasn't been called at all. I think I was able to, I am still enjoying the respect of the President, the respect of Secretary Mar, and of course my party mates.
So you had this is a tough balancing act between the status quo and change, right? How did you navigate that line so that you didn't actually piss off either side and you satisfied both sides, right?
I think I made it clear to them from the very start that when I was being asked to be Secretary Mar's running mate, I was telling people that, look, why me? Why are you choosing me? I don't know anything about politics at all. All my life I have been like this. All my life I have been my own person. I think I did the right thing in laying all the cards on the table. When I first talked to Senator Bam Aquino and asked him if he could be my campaign manager, we had a serious talk. I told him these are the things that I'll become comfortable with. I will not be okay with this. I think I made the right choice when I had Senator Bam, who is confident enough to give me all the space that I need. There are so many things that we didn't have to do, which traditional politics dictated us to do. But making my own path was actually an experiment. But I think it's working. It's working in the sense that even if I don't go the traditional way, the tried and tested ways of politics, I think I was able to gain the respect of most of my party mates. I have been in the receiving end also of complaints, in the sense that, why are you doing this when in fact the party has this? But I think I was able to more or less made my point that I'm always well-intentioned when I'm doing things. I might not be doing them the way that we have been used to, but my many years as the wife of my husband, my many years of helping me in all the elections he's been in 6 elections, more or less taught me that it's not always bad to insist on things that haven't been tried yet.
Fantastic.
And I think I'm doing okay.
Let me ask you, yesterday, we called it yesterday the day of conspiracy theories. In your race, actually 2 vice presidential candidates came up with different conspiracy theories, all of which we've reported on Rappler. Right?
Yeah.
But the one that is specific to you is about Bongbong Marcos saying that there is a plan by the Liberal Party that if Duterte wins, if Lenny wins, that they would impeach Duterte so that Lenny can become president.
That's unfortunate because first of all, there is no such plan. Until now, the party is doing everything it can to make sure that it will be Secretary Mar and me who will win in the best way possible. When I say trying everything we can, yung tama lang. I have been through so many elections, and I can say to anyone straight on the face that I'd rather lose than win an elections rigged with so many anomalies. I think Senator Bongbong was trying to court the support of Mayor Duterte supporters, but it's unfortunate that he had to use me. There is no such conspiracy. I've always told people that while I would have wanted my own president to win, it's part of the job description that anyone who wins the presidency should have my utmost commitment. If I become vice president, the level of commitment that I'm prepared to give Secretary Mar should be exactly the same level of commitment that I should give Mayor Duterte or Grace Poe or Vice President Binay should they win the presidency. Kaya I don't know where this is coming from. I was telling reporters yesterday who told me about the conspiracy theory of Senator Bongbong to make a plea to Senator Marcos that if he wants to court the voters of Mayor Duterte, to do it in a way that magpakatotoo lang. I am sure he knows that there is no such theory, and I cannot for the life of me imagine how he can make up such things. There have been many attempts to discredit me. There was even a Facebook page quoting me as having said that if Mayor Duterte wins, I will resign. There is no such thing. I haven't said that at all. This conspiracy theory is unfortunate in the sense that even if it is Mayor Duterte who wins and if I become vice president, he can be assured of my utmost support.
But you were caught in an unguarded moment, and in fact you were caught on Rappler in an unguarded moment where you said it would be difficult given the differences in values. Is that correct?
I think the context of that is that I was being asked about the rape the rape issue.
Yes.
And I was telling the reporters that all my life I have been advocating for the upliftment of the dignity of women. And if it is true, I haven't seen any of the interviews of Mayor Duterte. And if it was true that he made the utterances in the way that the public perceived him to have made them, it would be difficult in the sense that we will be coming from two opposite points of view as far as respect for women, dignity of women is concerned. But you know, Maria, sometimes when somebody thinks very differently, it would even be more beneficial if another would be working with him, believing in exactly a different perspective, in the sense that there will be a sort of a balancing act. I hope that if that happens, I will be a big influence on the way he looks at things.
Fantastic. The other conspiracy theory yesterday came from Senator Cayetano, Alan Peter Cayetano, and he said that there is a conspiracy in Malacanang to harness Rojas and Poe, Mar Rojas and Grace Poe, to come together, because he said the only way Duterte would lose is if the other candidates come together, but it didn't seem like it was happening. This was verified by President Aquino. Could you tell us more about what's happening now?
I think there is some basis to that, although I wouldn't exactly call that a conspiracy, in the sense that
This is tactics.
Yeah, the president was very open about how he felt about these things. I think he made an interview when he urged Secretary Mar and Senator Grace to come together for the sake of the nation. I think all this is coming from the fears, whether founded or unfounded, about the possible repercussions of a Duterte presidency. And I think anyone naman is allowed to do things like this.
Of course.
The way it sounded, I didn't watch the interview. I saw it only on Twitter. The way it sounded naman was not as if the president was forcing Secretary Mar and Senator Grace to agree on something. He was just floating the idea of one of them giving up or coming together to make a stand for what they think would be right for the country.
Do you see this happening?
No. Honestly, no. I saw in the late night news the response of Senator Grace,
Yes.
telling us that she was not amenable to discussing anything with Secretary Mar. I laud Secretary Mar for reaching out, but of course that will be all up to both of them. If they would in fact agree on something, I think we don't have enough time to make all this happen, even if there is a window on the part of Senator Grace, considering that elections will be Monday already, and today is Saturday.
Today is Saturday, the last day of campaigns. I mean, I'll ask you this question. There are lots of questions coming in on social media now, but this one, it connects to our conspiracy. What are your thoughts on the charges of alleged cheating plan of the ruling party?
Ako Maria, I have not heard of any cheating plan, and if there is ever one, I would not be a party to it. I would oppose it vehemently. I don't think anyone who comes to power through cheating has any reason to be there. These elections is all about giving voice to the people. These elections is all about making the people decide who they want to lead us in the next 6 years. And if we will win the elections through means that are not right, I don't think we have the mandate of the people. A leader who does not have the mandate of the people does not have any right to lead us at all.
So at Step Up Flores, that was your question on Twitter. She just responded to that. In terms of your thoughts, so we started before you campaigned, and we talked about how it's changed you. I guess now, what lessons have you learned?
A lot, Maria. But you know, even if there have been so many lessons in this campaign, like you can't really depend so much on politicians, in the sense that they have their own fights also to conquer. The best way still is to go straight to appeal to the hearts of the people. The power of every local government official is still lies in their constituency. So, if at all, the real power really is with the people. It is difficult to depend on anyone. Having said that, the difficult part also of what I think would be ideal is the limited time that you have. For example, I came in the game too late. Senator Marcos, Senator Cheese, maybe also to a certain extent Senator Alan has been preparing for this fight for many years already. And I was clueless of what was to happen in 2015 when I accepted the challenge. So I really did not have enough time to catch up. it's really been trying to reach as many people as possible. I had to really resort to media, TV, radio to get my message across. I would have wanted to visit each and every cranny of the country because I think there is no better way of talking to the people than
Face to face.
Allowing them to see you for who you really are. But because that's not possible, I have to depend so much on TV ads, radio ads, and it's difficult in the sense that it's very expensive. I think we have to rethink already of the amendments that we have to make with regards to our election laws. Because this particular system does not breed clean elections at all.
Yeah.
I am afraid of things that will come in the future if we do not change the system of elections. It will be very difficult for someone with no funds, no backing, to actually have a chance at having been elected despite capacities, despite the willingness to be of service to people. So it has to change.